Welcome to this edition of Inside Europe's Boardrooms. I'm TK Kerstetter and I'll be your host for today's show. We're here in the lovely Amalfi Coast at Diligent's Director's Experience for the Europe region. And it's obviously a very beautiful place to be holding the show, but as they say, somebody's got to do it. So anyway, we've got a great show for you today. We're going to be talking about what boards can learn from the World Economic Forum. And joining me as my guest is Cristiana Falcone, who's a board member with Revlon and Viacom, and is also the principal to the chairman and founder of the World Economic Forum. Welcome, Cristiana.
Welcome.
Before we go talk about the World Economic Forum, I want to ask you, you joined your first boards when you were 40, okay? That makes you what we call a next-gen board leader, okay? And
not a millennial anymore, though.
That's right. And it's interesting because my daughter and I developed an organization in the States called the Next Gen Board Leaders. And it's a group of corporate board members that join boards in their 30s and 40s. And the purpose of the group is they have common challenges and they enjoy getting together and talking about everything like their onboarding or even how to insert yourself into
an already established group.
Right.
Yeah.
So let me take you back, because you're a veteran now after 5 years.
Let me
take you back 5 years.
Of the experience.
What was it like when you first joined those boards and you're only 40 years old?
So I was asked when I was still in my 30s, last year my 30s. So I thought, oh wow, this means two things. Either I've already peaked and I'm going down, or this is what happened when you grow older. And so it was linked to my 40 nemesis, let's call it this way. And then I joined the board with a lot of humility, not only because I'm a woman, we tend to be a little bit more humble when we approach a new task, but because the company that asked me was Viacom, a company that I had admired, whose founder I'd follow, and I thought he was visionary and a leader in the media sector. So it was daunting to begin with. And then the group that I was joining was a group of seasoned board members and expert media executive. And of course, one would wonder what an Italian woman in her 40s can add to the table. But I have to say they were very welcoming, and I soon realized that my understanding of global issues and my insight into the digital world, especially as far as media disruption was concerned, and also my candid approach to the position was considered an asset, and they slowly but surely encouraged me to contribute loudly. Well, at the beginning, maybe I was having the sidetrack conversation, and I was encouraged to take risk, and I started enjoying it, and I start really appreciate the fiduciary duty to shareholders that board members have, the importance of integrity and independence on a board, and how important the role is if well done.
Yeah. Well, you're a great role model for others that might aspire to do that. So let's switch gears. Let's talk about the World Economic Forum. And anybody that attains any status in their business or industry always wants to go to the World Economic Forum. It's just it's an amazing opportunity. I mean, here you are talking about all the world issues for the health of not only business but the world. I mean, it's just an iconic opportunity for somebody to go. Well, you're involved in it. You're involved with creating probably the topics. So when we think about, I know there's been times where boards and corporate governance has been an issue at the Economic Forum.
Yes.
Talk about, from your mind, what board members can learn from the World Economic Forum, and then can you give specific examples where the forum addressed specific issues?
Yeah. I started working at the forum almost 16 years ago. So if we count in annual meetings, which is the famous Davos you were referring to, I've done several of those, but always working. which is my favorite role there, where I can serve the communities and I can see some of the most compelling issues of today's world and future generations being presented. What the forum is very good at, first of all, it's not one person. Right now, there are over 600 people working at the World Economic Forum. I think when I started, we were around 80. Just to give you how visionary the founder was in setting up an organization that became a platform globally. So these 600 people are way more intelligent, smarter, and clever than I am. And together, they design the interaction, but also the initiative. So the Davos is only the flagship event. In reality, there are activities, studies, and interaction, which could be bilateral, 2 people talking, or a group of 10, closed door, or a gathering, so 150. The last one was during UN Week in New York, talking about sustainable business. And I always thought that we were very good at putting in front of the CEO and the leader. The forum is about leadership. People tend to say we are elitarian. It's not about elite, it's about leadership. So it doesn't matter where you come from, if you're the leader of that vertical or that sector or that dimension, sooner or later you're going to score on the forum radar. So we're very proficient at putting in front of this leader the issue that is around the corner. We're not forecaster. I still think the founder is visionary, and he founded the organization 15 years ago. And that's the example I'm going to give you about something that I've seen happening at the forum that has direct impact on what the board of directors are doing today, especially on ESG, environmental, social, and governance issues. This issue around the corner, not everybody wants to see. In my case, with the colleagues from the telco sector, Sylvia Van Kunten, we did a study in 2016 on the future of the digital ecosystem. So we brought together telco, IT, and media to look at possible scenario of the media disruption. I'm very proud of that work, but I know that the members who were exposed to that work reacted to it in different way. There are some leaders that went back home and changed the entire roadmap. There are leaders who ostracized, I say, like they were ostrich, they refused it. And the funny thing is now we are in 2019, almost 2020, and some of the biggest media companies are still trying to understand the challenge of digital, right? And
Right.
You have telco got into the system. So I don't want to brag about what I do, but many other colleagues have done and are doing this kind of studies and creating this kind of safe space where the conversation get catalyzed and progress get done. So we cannot take credit for actions, but we certainly catalyze discussion, problem solving, and eventually action, which is led by the members of the World Economic Forum.
Well, I always, when I was at the New York Stock Exchange, I always hoped that there would be room for me to attend Davos sometime. But anyway, it's interesting work. I think that certainly looking around the corner is what boards should be doing anyway, so that's fascinating. So let me get to your board position just a minute.
Yeah.
Because I want to ask you about some of the challenges that exist today. You already talked about ESG, but you know, when you look at things like cyber risk,
Yes, cybersecurity, very
and you
big.
look at geopolitical risk.
Yes.
You know, particularly, you know, you've got Trump, you've got trade battles, you got Brexit, you got the Middle East, you got today there was news about Barcelona, you know. So it seems like we're at a significant heightened time in geopolitical risk. So how, as a director, do you get your arms around things like cyber or geopolitical risk?
I think personally, my tool bag to deal with geopolitical risk compared to other board of directors that I've been working with is refined. That's because I work for an oil company. I have a degree in political science and international relations, and I have worked even in world zones. But also because having been exposed to the World Economic Forum work for 15 years, 16, geopolitical risk has always been on the agenda of the World Economic Forum. Actually, we have global, regional, and industry risk. And I have a colleague who even did a PhD, still working at the forum, looking at whether board would consider geopolitical risk as part of their risk assessment. And I have to say that the study proved that not all of them did, and those who were affiliated with the World Economic Forum maybe were a little bit more advanced. So as a board member, I feel grateful that I had this experience, but the conversation around geopolitical risk at the board level doesn't happen often, at least not in my experience.
Yeah. How about cyber?
Cyber now is as hype as ESG. Yes, cyber, we all have to do cyber. I did it when I was on an audit committee. I'm doing it now that I'm on a governance committee. Is the big topic, and once again, even there I was not prepared, but I had what we would say in Italian an infarinatura. I was toasted with some pan grattato with breadcrumbs about cyber, because the forum started in California, an operation around the fourth industrial revolution. And one of the things is cybersecurity. So it has always been a big topic of the World Economic Forum. Professor Schwab is particularly interested in cybersecurity. So I did have that understanding. That doesn't make me an expert whatsoever, but I can ask the right question. And I've seen the entire board getting much more refined on that, but we're not where we need to be. I don't think so. I think that the key in cyber are resilience, because you're going to get attacked no matter what. Yeah. So it's a matter of how you react to it as fast as you can. Resilience, do you have a reaction system that is connected, where the transparency and information are ensured, so that the response at every level, including the PR, the reputational side, are done in a modular yet effective and efficient way. That I haven't seen yet. Although I think that on the board I sit, especially one of the two boards, the cybersecurity threat is taken very seriously, and we have process and procedure in place that make me sleep at night.
Yeah. Well, you just proved to our audience why you were asked to be a board member, when you can bring digital, geopolitical risk, cyber, and everything to the table.
I don't get asked many times.
Yeah.
At times you can only advise or suggest, but thank you.
And thank you for taking the time to join us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. And I want to learn more about this next gen, if I can be of any help. We need to be lifting more.
That's right. Well, I want to thank you again, and that will conclude this edition of Inside Europe's Boardrooms. We hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be back again soon when we take another look at an important topic that'll help you be a better board member or committee member. So we'll see you then.